Really excited to see what they bring today in the LA Sun.
That defense has been tremendous for Michigan. Only 4 goals allowed in 7 games. Meanwhile, for UCLA, some changes in the starting lineup. Nikolai Royale making his first career start as a Bruin. Alan Legaspi, a talented freshman, making his 4th start of the season. In fact, started in the last home match for the Bruins against number 3 Denver. They tied the Pioneers in that matchup here in Westwood, but coming off a difficult loss on the road at Wisconsin, losing 4-1, and really the game got away from them in that first half.
Yeah, we saw it one of the last times that UCLA was here when they played against Fullerton. When you have a team that's so good on defense and all of a sudden you go down a few goals, it can be hard to adjust to it. So that's one thing that UCLA really needs to work on as they go deeper into the season. Yes, the defense is strong, but what happens when you do concede? Because that will happen against these tough Big Ten teams.
They fell behind 3-0 in that first half, and it was just too much of an uphill battle. But when UCLA can control possession, and they're a really possession-based team, they become a lot more dangerous. As Caceres was pulled down, and a free kick awarded to the Bruins. And again, we touched on this, Graham, at the top of the broadcast. This is the first road match of the season for Michigan. What are going to be the tell signs for you to see if they're comfortable?
For me, it's going to be how quickly can they get up on the attacking third. We know that their defense is really strong. We know that they've been getting a little comfortable at their own place back at Ann Arbor. How quickly can they translate that defense, a stop from a goalkeeper, getting a crucial tackle in their defending third? How quickly can they translate that into a counterattack? Because that's where we've seen the Bruins be vulnerable.
Wolverines, led by head coach Shaka Daly in his 13th season at the helm, has done a great job in a program that's relatively new. It was created just 24 years ago in his 13th year. Had that great run for 3 seasons from 2017 to 2019, 3 consecutive trips to the NCAA tournament. Rossi finds a pocket for Andre Ochoa. Nice through ball intended for Shakir Nixon. And Bryce Blevins, one of the captains for the Wolverines, along with Nolan Miller. Those two so vital to that defensive line for Michigan.
Yeah, Blevins especially is so good at doing what Michigan loves. It's getting a stop, yes, but staying composed, scanning the field. Where's this pass going to go next? So it's not just a steal, but you can keep possession after winning it.
Michigan coming off a 1-1 draw to the Washington Huskies. And the message from Shaka Daly was pretty simple following that match. Hey, we try to take care of business at home, collect as many points as we can, and those are going to come a long way in the end of the year.
Yeah, it's kind of a tale of 2 teams here. UCLA started their early season by challenging themselves, playing all these ranked opponents. Michigan spent the time getting comfortable. They've got a lot of upperclassmen on their team. Stay at home, get some crucial points that will be super valuable when we get to count them all for the Big Ten standings at the end of the year. So 2 different approaches to the beginning of the season, both pretty successful.
Beto Soto with a takeaway in the attacking third, cutting it back in the box. Alan Legaspi defending, and that was last touched by Michigan. Beto Soto a little bit surprised. Graduate forward out of Houston, Texas. Transfer from Marquette. Both he and Edry Caceres, former teammates with the Golden Eagles, not to mention with the Houston Academy. They go back a long way, and it was interesting getting a chance to hear Edry Caceres coming into this matchup. The message to his team was pretty simple. We can't lose to this guy, and we can't allow him to score.
Yeah, playing against someone you came up with just has a different kind of feeling playing against them. That is, and Caceres and Soto, they really are both at the hearts of translating the midfield game into going forward on offense.
Rossi with a searching ball. Beautiful sunny Saturday here in Los Angeles. It began a little gloomy, and the sun has shone through. It's those first 10 minutes that are always so critical for a team in UCLA. And Coach Ryan Jordan, in his 6th season at the helm, has done a really good job here in Westwood, especially at home in his tenure. But today marks a seminal moment. First Big Ten home opener for the newly minted members of the Big Ten Conference. Ochoa, an excellent header. Back by Fisher. And that's going to be the matchup to watch. Can those 9, 10, and 11 positions for UCLA crack through that stout defensive line?
Yeah, and that's why I really like the decision to start Royale today up top. You have so much skill. You know, you've got Caceres, Ochoa, Conte, both of them so good in those tight spaces with the ball at their feet. Sometimes all you need is a big boot up front to put it away. It can be so easy to make these little tricks, do these moves, and at the end of the day, you really need someone to stick it in the back of the net. That's what Royale has been great at this season for the Bruins. He definitely deserved his first start today.
2 goals for Nikolai Royale. Scored the lone one against Wisconsin. Also scored the lone goal against Cal State Fullerton. 2 of the largest defeats of the season for the Bruins, as Lawrence has a lot of space to operate. João Paulo Ramos, such a dangerous threat. He hit the bar a couple of times against Washington earlier this week.
Yeah, this Michigan team, they just seems like anyone is willing to go up and score. We saw Buckner coming up from the defense to score in their last match. The way that they play, their passing abilities, it opens it up so that anyone can find themselves in front of the keeper with a chance to put the Wolverines up.
Michigan, of course, a team that began the season unranked, but have slowly started to prove themselves entering Big Ten Conference play. Win over Penn State earlier, again a tie against Washington. But this is where the most difficult stretch of their season begins. Got a couple of big-time matchups coming up. They host Ohio State in a couple weeks. The highest-ranked Big Ten team is Caceres with a takeaway. Opportunity for the Bruins on the overlap. Conte. Fisher trying to stay with him. So how they handle themselves, though, in these road tests is going to be an interesting thing to watch.
We'll see what the Wolverines are made of today. It's certainly not a fun place to start your road campaign in the Big Ten. But Michigan have shown they can go up against some of the best teams, not just in the Big Ten, but in the nation as well, and keep them out of the net. So very interested to see how the Wolverines react in their first road day.
Nolan Miller, junior captain, considered the ultimate leader, according to Shaka Daly. It was interesting chatting with him, the way that he described the back three. Kind of highlighted how Will Baker is the cerebral player, Nolan Miller the leader, and Matthew Fisher the warrior.
And sometimes that back three can look more like a back five with Blevins and Buckner on the outside. They'll come back and help out on defense, which is why you don't see them concede many goals. And then all of a sudden, the Wolverines win the ball and Blevins and Buckner are bolting up those sidelines. That's something that the Bruins really got to be careful of today.
Fisher targeting Buckner. Buckner with an excellent first touch. Cutting it back and powers it through. Jason Buckner doesn't waste any time, and he gives the Wolverines a 1-0 lead.
Just as we were saying, Jonah, got to be careful down those flanks. Buckner, big and strong. He was not missing that one. So close to the keeper, he thundered it home.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
We expected there to be few shots taken, just one attempted by each side so far. The defense is hunkering down for both sides. But again, if you're Michigan, you're okay with that because you've claimed the lead.
Exactly, that is their game plan. Go out and score early and let the opportunities come to you. Let the other team get their possession, have their licks in, and the Wolverines are confident in their ability to hang back and take that, as well as having a really high line. We've seen a few times the Bruins get caught off sides because the Wolverines are confident in that back line to intercept it, and if it goes past them, for them to track back and get there in time.
Yuri Sendin, center back, making his 5th start. Tarun Karamanchi, the ultimate offensive destroyer, according to Coach Jordan. Excellent flick from Nixon. Karamanchi, and Jose Conte might be credited with it. Not sure if it deflected off of a Wolverine, but we are tied.
It all starts with a wonderful back heel flick from Nixon, and just the pressure that the Bruins are putting in that box forces the mistake from the Wolverines. It doesn't matter who puts it in, it's a UCLA goal.
And it deflected off the foot of the junior captain for Michigan, Nolan Miller, who was sliding to try to make a play. Hit the wrong end of his cleat. And UCLA will take it. We talked about it, Graham. They had to create chances, be willing to put this Michigan defense under duress. And it bore some fruit.
Jonah, it's almost the opposite of what we've seen mostly from this Bruins offense. Usually we see a lot of slick touches, some skill moves with 1 or 2 quick passes. That time it was one touch pass. A beautiful back heel flick from Nixon being the one tidy skill in there. Finally, the Bruins get going with some space down the sideline, and it reaps the benefits. And got to give credit to Jose Conte forcing the issue on that back post. The Wolverines were so concerned with him laying there on the back post that they went ahead and put it in the net for him.
If Tarun Karamanchi is credited with the goal, that would be his first career goal as a Bruin.
And he deserves it. Karamanchi perfect with the overlap over Nixon there. A perfect ball on the ground where anyone can get it, and any touch that gets it, whether it's the Wolverines or the Bruins right in front of the net, is going to be really dangerous. Great bit of 2-man play from Karamanchi and Nixon there.
Great sign for the Bruins. They have struggled mightily when they've trailed in games played this year. In fact, there's only been 2 instances where they've trailed in matches, and in those games, they never managed to pull back an equalizer immediately following an opponent's goal.
Speaks a lot to Ryan Jordan's coaching since those past few games, saying we can't lay our heads too low. Still so much time left in the game. It was great to see the Bruins really stick to their game plan there, keep forcing it.
And Michael Leone slips past Grassi, takes a deflection. Caceres there to clean it up. Threatening chance for Michigan. They've been building really well on that right side, as Nixon was yanked down by Ramos. But Shakir Nixon, going back to that first goal, was instrumental in creating that setup pass to Karamanchi down the far flank.
It was just beautiful, beautiful to see with the back heel flick, and executed perfectly, completely tricked out the defense. When I saw it, I said, ooh, this might be something right here, Jonah. And sure enough, Karamanchi finished it off with, the cross in was just as good.
He's just gotten so much more comfortable and confident over on that right side.
The future is so, so bright for Nixon. Anytime he gets the ball, you know something exciting is going to happen.
Caceres. Switch with Karamanchi and Pietro Grassi. Grassi, one of the 4 senior captains for this UCLA team. Andre Ochoa, Jose Conte, and Pablo Greenlee. But Coach Jordan has talked about not just relying on those 4, but even some of the graduate transfers to assume those leadership roles. Ochoa patiently just trying to break down. That's the goal of UCLA anytime they are creeping in on the final third. Caceres targeting Conte, and Buckner kind of slipped, and this will result in another UCLA corner.
A rare mistouch by Buckner there. It just speaks to the pressure that UCLA is putting on this Wolverines defense right now. Doesn't seem like something they're used to. And anytime the Bruins have a set piece, it's going to be dangerous. Just like you said, Jonah, doesn't matter where from.
First corner kick was taken from the other flag. Second one for Caceres. In swinging to the near post, and again, Grassi is just able to graze it, and it's 2-1 UCLA. Right place, right time. Bruins claim their first lead.
Set piece success has been the name of the game for this UCLA squad this season. You saw it again there, putting the ball into the danger zone, putting pressure on the keeper, on the defenders, bringing the heat. It doesn't matter how it gets in again, Jonah. UCLA has the lead, and they won't mind how they got it.
What a response after falling behind 1-0. 2 consecutive goals scored in really bizarre fashions. Edric Caceres credited with an assist on that last corner kick. And there's one more, our replay team trying to get you that best look. And the Bruins just relentlessly pursuing the soccer ball. And Caceres is credited, thought it might have grazed the top of the hair of Pietro Grassi. But Goldson couldn't hold on. And the first goal was scored in an own goal fashion committed by Nolan Miller. And then off the corner kick, Caceres with his 3rd credited goal of 2024. And this is a response that was lacking the first month of the year.
Bruins fans, you gotta love to see it. Grassi, it's almost more confusing for the defense for him to duck under it. The defense is expecting he's gonna head it. Which direction could it go off his head? By ducking under it, they completely were not expecting that trajectory of the ball, and just goes right off the heel of the keeper and into the net. Great piece of defending on offense, if you will. And you love to see the response from the Bruins, something that you haven't seen this season.
They just needed to score more. That's the message hammered by this coaching staff. It feels like they should be scoring more. They've been averaging 1 goal per game as opposed to last season where they averaged double. And there's so many contests this season where if they are just able to slot in a few more, he feels like they could potentially be undefeated right now.
It's easy to see that route, Jonah. What I'm seeing right now is Michigan in a spot where they haven't been before, where they're a little bit more conservative on the defensive end. Last time up the field, we saw Soto whipping a ball, and where Buckner would have been in the first 10 minutes, he wasn't there. He was hanging back a little bit more, worried more about UCLA's offense, and that's what happens when you score more. You make the defense hang back more. That'll be crucial to breaking down Michigan's tactics today.
Michigan traveling 2,200 miles to get here. That's the distance between Ann Arbor and Westwood. They looked strong out of the gates, a little shakier along the back line since that time.
7 home games is great to start until you got to start catching a few flights a week, Jonah.
Oliver Martin was just inserted in, first sub for Michigan. And Fisher, a little bit too much mustard. Strong tackle from Grassi. Blevins always dangerous on that left foot, along with Soto. Those two have great chemistry along the left side. And a giveaway for Soto to Blevins, and the lefty is able to take the carom. And Bryce Blevins does it again. The fifth-year man out of Plainfield, Illinois, producing with his left foot.
Blevins is so dangerous wherever he gets the ball on the pitch. A little too lackadaisical there from UCLA. Didn't tell Nixon that they had someone on. Blevins has a half second of space and he fires it away. That Michigan offense is so good at just striking, even with the most minute amount of space.
And again, it took a deflection as well off the foot of Karamanchi. So both sides having to deal with the emotional roller coaster that has been this first half. So the one positive, if you're both sides, is they have to be alert by now.
So many momentum swings just in our first half hour here.
Can't be any more surprises.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Between these two teams, they can certainly bring it in. You kind of get the sense, as you said, a few deflections for UCLA goals, and that last one for the Michigan goal. We still haven't seen the best soccer from either team, so I'm very excited to see where on earth we go from here.
Blevins chips it forward. Soto, Oliver Martin occupying that left corner. João Ramos, a dangerous threat from deep as well. Soccer's in his DNA. The Brazilian grew up loving soccer. It was just a part of his household. And this is a first set piece opportunity from a truly dangerous spot for Michigan. 30 yards away. And João Ramos seeking his first goal of the season. It could be Soto. It won't be. Ramos with the clip and comfortably handled by Sam Joseph.
Would have liked a little more of an in-swinger if you're the Wolverines. Kind of try and catch the UCLA defense off guard by the ball going back out and swing back in off that right foot. Instead, the chip there goes right to the UCLA keeper.
And the mental game and toll that has to take place within the minds of the goalkeepers. You're up 1 minute, you're down. Sam Joseph coming off a game in which he conceded the most goals that he has this season, allowing 4 to slip through. Now again, in large part that was due to poor defending, and the defense didn't really step up. But I asked Coach Jordan about the mindset of Sam Joseph. What was the message? And with the exception of one of those 4 goals, he was trying to keep him positive, telling him that the rest aren't on him. And that's an important mindset, having a short memory if you're a goalkeeper.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Fisher centered into Martin, and Martin didn't get enough on it, but a late whistle, play called back. And Oliver Martin, the junior out of Vermont, 4 straight games played of at least 45 minutes. He's really starting to come on, especially in these second halves. of games, even though this is the end of the first half, but he's getting a lot of valuable time out on the pitch for Michigan this year.
In a tight game like this, the last 5 minutes are as important as the first 5 of the next half. You really would love to go into that halftime break with some sort of advantage. So both teams are going to pull their cards a little earlier today.
Have to wonder what the messages are in the dressing room at half. Each has felt they've kind of had control and a real grasp of the game for moments. It speaks to how evenly matched up these two squads are, as we're inside the final 5 minutes to go in what's been an exhilarating first half. Efficiency at its finest, each side with just 3 shot attempts. Conversion rate has been outstanding. Free ball won back by Nixon. And the way that UCLA likes to play, going to try to hold possession until the very end of this first half.
Another lovely back heel from Nixon to just calm everything down after the ball was bouncing in the air. Could go either way. Bring it down, find the triangles on the pitch. A few one-touch, two-touch passes. Beautiful link-up play to get it going for the Bruins.
Philip Naif bolts to the middle with the left foot. Takes a deflection. Sven Hawkson is there. And Hawkson delivering heroics. Gives UCLA the lead once again. He had been patiently waiting. The transfer, scoring his first goal as a Bruin.
You love the shot from the outside. Got to take your opportunities, and it's a great job by Hawkson to be in the right place at the right time. That's the main role of a striker. Be there when the ball bounces. The Michigan players were appealing for a handball. Either way, Hawkson won't mind. He'll just one-tap it into the back of the net to put the Bruins up right now.
The transfer from the University of Iceland, playing in his first NCAA season, had been knocking on the door, but finally, in game number 8, he slots one home.
That's what happens when you take advantage of the space that Michigan defense is giving to you. Just shoot it. Even if there's a better pass, you know, some better link-up play that could potentially be coming forward, just shoot it, and good things will happen. We saw that from both of the new subs coming into this game, Naif and Hawkson, both ready to fire away and put the Bruins on top.
Currently UCLA with a season high in goals scored, as Karamanchi now on the break. And on his knees, Herrera's just able to poke his foot forward to win it back for Michigan. There's a look at Karamanchi having to sprint back, just covers so much ground defensively.
That is an absolutely superb tackle right there from Herrera. Without that, the Bruins had numbers going forward on another counterattack, looking to make it 4-2, but 2 tackles, one of them from the ground, to turn it into a Michigan possession.
So this is the second time that Michigan has trailed in this match. And this is the most goals allowed by a Michigan squad this season, so a lot of unfamiliarity in this game. And again, here you're thinking it's tied, 4 minutes to play at the end of the first half. It'll likely be tied going into the break. Now you fall behind, 2 minutes to try to equalize. If not, for the first time this season, they'll be trailing at the half.
And we saw at the 40-minute mark the chess moves from both coaches, bringing their subs in maybe earlier than they expected, and it pays off for the Bruins.
Had a nice combination in that corner with Blevins. And Herrera swings it in, not fully cleared. Martin trying to flick it over to himself. Ball still loose just outside of the 18, and the shot is deflected. Tamir Radovic got in there to provide the denial. Now Philip Naif might have to hold up and wait for the cavalry to arrive. And sends it near side to Hawkson. There's just so much more fluidity and rhythm on this UCLA side right now.
It all starts with Philip Naif bringing just more composure and possession to that right wing. Instead of just giving and going, instead of trying to make a move, he turns his back to the defense, lets his teammates join him. It didn't work out that time, but that's where you need those quick moves, that fancy footwork in those those tight corridors. That's where it pays off for UCLA. Naif, perfect blend of those skills and also getting the ball out of your feet when you need to.
So at the break, UCLA leading number 16 Michigan 3-2. They scored on an own goal off a corner, and Sven Hoxen finally making his mark.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Go right past the both of us.
And he's not your typical freshman. Came in with a boatload of experience, especially at the LAFC Academy level. And that was the big thing Coach Jordan talked to me about when we first discussed Nixon during the first couple games of the year, is that, hey, he's not your typical freshman. He's not coming in raw. He's not coming in with a lack of experience. He's been in high leverage moments. He's played against some really fine quality opponents and individual players. And when you have that experience plus the physique, and Coach Shaka Daly even reinforced that idea that, hey, both he and Buckner have and meet the soccer quote-unquote metrics of what a player looks like, it's not a surprise that he's getting a lot of time.
Yeah, it speaks to the culture of soccer here in Southern California. So many of the Bruins players come from one of these MLS academies or prolific club teams in the area. They come in with more experience than the average Bear.
Zeitz on the give. It's floated across the face of goal. Nixon there again, but Buckner was streaking to the middle. Again, just playing all around the field. Not just on that right side or the left, but
really thought Nixon bounced that one off of Blevins.
Zeitz finds a pocket, puts it on frame. Punched out by Joseph, had to be ready for it. Retained. Fisher with a step over just in front of the end line and does well to earn Michigan a corner.
Excellent recovery defense. Radovitz was step for step on that second chance, and feels like this is the first clean chance either keeper has had to get their hands on and make a clean stop. A shot on target for Michigan, but UCLA keeper even to it and finally had a fair, good look at that one.
Just a narrow window to get that shot off. So Blevins from the far corner with an in-swinger. And Radovitz again allows his defense to reset.
Looked like it was Hoxen again getting his head in there on the initial cross in from the corner. Defense turning into the offense for the striker.
And Hoxen's one of the taller players on this team at 6'2". So anytime there is a corner, you need him in there for defensive purposes just to provide a little bit of an obstruction if you can, as Ramos had it taken away. Naif. Hoxen with a nice flick to himself. Fisher's down yet again. And this might be a theme that we see in the second half. And it's fitting that Coach Shaka Daly has given him the moniker of Warrior. He is battling through whatever's ailing him at the moment. Just trying to desperately stay out there for his team. Bruins have been an excellent second half team. They've only conceded 2 second half goals this season. So even in the 2 losses that they suffered to Cal State Fullerton and Wisconsin, they've still outscored their opponents 4-2 in the second halves. I asked Coach Jordan why sometimes it takes that halftime break for the messages to resonate. And he was pretty candid about it and said, listen, we've been down by multiple goals in games, and you kind of have to have a good response, because if you don't, you're going to be embarrassed. And ultimately, he feels like their style of play, the way that they try to physically impose themselves, can have an effect on teams, but you don't tend to see it until about 45 minutes in.
We're certainly seeing it so far in this second half, that UCLA a bit better conditioned than the Wolverines. Just keeping that energy on 100 while it feels like the Wolverines are sitting back a little bit more. And it's something that it takes time to see what kind of impact you're having in those games where UCLA scored even though they were down in the second half. Never giving up. Bruins just so relentless over the 90 minutes. It's hard to beat them in a full game.
And Bryce Blevins had his foot stepped on. He was kind of gingerly hopping up Buckner. And that's the last thing that you need, is for Bryce Blevins to be compromised. He doesn't seem to be. It's just the nature of the sport.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Kind of have a couple of holding midfielders. Caceres is the primary, but the way that they utilize Tamir Radovic in the center, again, he can play centrally forward. He can also be more of a defensive mid. Another one of these versatile players. And that's what you have to be if you want to earn playing time on such a deep roster, really for both sides.
100%, and it's all across the park for the Bruins, where they have guys that you can't back up in a corner. You can't leave them even in tight space because they'll work right out of it. And Ochoa and Conte, even going up the pitch, they're so good when the pressure's on. That's why it feels like sometimes all you need in front of the net is the Bruins is that striker that won't take too many touches and will just blast it towards the goal. We've seen that a few times today, but so sticky on the ball. The Bruins are really tough to dispossess.
Falls on the cleat of Blevins. Cassidy maneuvering, trying to get something going. Hawkson trying to step in the passing lane, and a late whistle as Cassidy collided into Radovic, and this is going to be against Nicholas Cassidy. First yellow card he's been saddled with this season. Tamir Radovic took the brunt of that one and is slow to get up.
Tamir Radovic has impressed me every time he comes in off the bench. It feels like only a matter of time until he gets notched for a starting 11 spot on this Bruins squad, but so composed, and sometimes part of the game being that holding midfielder slash defender that Radovic plays is taking the brunt, taking the tackle, and letting your guys get forward, taking the free kick.
Beto Soto just re-entered, replacing Nicholas Cassidy, so hoping to provide a spark off the bench, and he certainly can. He and Bryce Blevins in the top 10 in points scored and accounted for in the Big Ten right now.
In this second half, it feels like the Bruins have won almost every 50-50 ball, going up in the air, winning the header, and not just that, following up after the header, getting those last touches, playing it back to the defensive line. We've also seen a lot more of the Bruins defense passing, getting the keeper involved and passing it out of the back. The way they've been holding possession for the past 10 to 15 minutes, completely keeping the Michigan Wolverines out of harm's way.
That's what you have to do, because again, if a guy like Soto can get on top of the ball, he's tied for 5th in the nation in assists this season. Such a great facilitator. The Bruins doing a great job of playing a little bit of keep away, which is their strength. Playing with a lead, establishing themselves in the middle of the field. That's what we've grown accustomed to seeing in all of their wins. Caceres drives it for Nixon, getting past the line, and the offsides flag comes up. And it took a little bit of a nasty collision with Isaiah Goldson, who sprinted off the line. But not a bad idea if you are Edry Caceres, kind of testing that speed of the back line with a guy like Nixon.
The right formula with not quite the right numbers that time. Getting Nixon going down the right sideline, especially one-on-one with the keeper, is never a bad thing. That's the hot spot for UCLA's offense. That's their target every time they're going forward, and for good reason. Nixon's been so good, especially in this second half. Right when you felt like, okay, Bruins don't get too comfortable in this game, they start to push the issue. Good to see them still wanting more from this game.
UCLA, yes, we're seeing some blemishes in the record, but think about the schedule that they've had coming into this matchup. For them, this is their 7th ranked opponent in 8 matches that they're facing. 4th straight matchup against a top 20 team, and they're coming out on the other side of it looking pretty good. If anything, a lot of these difficult matches have kind of allowed them to form a bit of a callus and has hardened them to be more prepared for Big Ten play.
Jonah, you'll take those bumps and bruises early in the season if it means later, come tournament time, Big Ten and NCAA tournament action getting going, you will be more prepared and be ready to fight those battles when they matter the most.
Beto Soto to take this important and crucial free kick right now for Michigan. Seeking an equalizer, clipped it in, and Joseph just able to make a move on it. Buckner was streaking to the middle. And now in transition, the Bruins are trying to take advantage of an unset defense. They slip it through with Philip Naif. He's got runners trailing. Radoviz, extra pass. Caceres loading up. Caceres with an extra give, and perhaps that's an example that we've talked about, needing to take those chances. Those windows close quickly. They do retain possession, though. Nixon swings it in, and they get a header on it, not fully cleared. Michigan under duress right now, just doing everything they can to keep it in front of goal, but Goldson has been under pressure.
Encouraging stuff from the Bruins offense. Not only pressing the issue, but being there when the play might fizzle out, when the pass isn't perfect, still applying the pressure and keeping possession in front of the goalie, in front of that defense. It can really tire out this Wolverine squad, and even though it doesn't result in a goal that time, it's great to see the offensive prowess of UCLA coming through.
Excellent pass, Nixon, Naif. Up top, Radoviz turned aside. Herrera blocked it with his back. Everyone's a lot more patient. They thought there was a handball there. Buckner rolls it back. And again, we saw 5 goals in the first half. There really have been just seldom chances in the second half, as there is a Wolverine down. And play will pause with 15 minutes to play. But right now, they've got Michigan on their back heels.
They do. Again, so much of the offensive creativity coming from Shakir Nixon. We saw like kind of a jump kick sort of thing where he was just a little bit off the air but kicked the ball into the ground to get it back middle.
Here's a look at that build-up.
I love that from Radovitz to open his body, keep the play going right there, shoot it. It's a great pump fake, but where does it take you? Into more trouble. Would love to see just more firing, not thinking, but firing at goal from this UCLA offense, but the passing to get there, the cross is in, they've all looked excellent. Just missing that time. Shakir, Nixon, and Tamir Radovitz got their fingerprints all over this attacking play from UCLA in the past 5 minutes.
And that was Julio Herrera. He was on the ground for a moment. Oliver Martin is going to check in for Michigan. So again, having to go the length of this game without Matthew Fisher. We saw him. We haven't seen any Michael Leone in this second half. The senior forward with a lot of experience, who has started the last 5 games but was really a non-factor in the first half. And UCLA again trying to collect another big quality win against a ranked opponent at home.
The Bruins, they've played some great teams. We've said the number of ranked opponents they've found themselves up against already this season, but if they can pull out these 3 points, I think it'd be the most impressive performance from Coach Jordan's men this year. Just the way that they bounce back from the deficit like we haven't seen before, and the football they're playing right now is so good for a team that has the lead. Not only keeping possession, but keeping the defense on their toes with good chances.
Edric Caceres has scored on 2 free kicks from a bit closer. Both came against LMU in their home opener. Caceres whips it in. It finds the foot of Grossi, and a diving save by Goldson. Massive from the sophomore goalkeeper to keep Michigan at arm's length.
Fantastic ball in. Grossi, I think, just didn't quite have the footing right for that header. Still good to bend his body and get a shot on target. A good save, but a save you expect Goldson to make. Oh, dummy from the ref? Right through the wickets.
He's been involved in a few too many plays, and I think both sides would have preferred. But boy, incredible stop from Isaiah Goldson, who has been really effective even as a sophomore. One of the highest save percentages in front of the net in the Big Ten at about 82%.
Yeah,
so you can say maybe it's a routine play, but given the flow of this second half, there haven't been many times when he's needed to be awake, if you will. Conte, excellent cutback. Conte couldn't keep it on target. Just blasted it into the side net.
But I love that from Conte. It's what we've been begging for up here. Just shoot the ball and let the good results come through. That time hits the side netting, but if you saw the pace that shot was coming with, you'd tell him to shoot it too. Because when it gets on target, we've said a few times, the keepers, they haven't had chances to have clean saves like we saw in that last free kick for Goldson. Even though the goals have been flowing for both sides, the keepers haven't had a lot of tests right to them.
Yeah, he felt like he had removed a monkey off his back when he finally scored against Northwestern. That was a low-scoring 1-0 victory, slotted in a penalty. And it's important to not overlook that performance as well. You can dwell on the matchup against Wisconsin, but going on the road in Evanston, number 14 Northwestern, that was a huge point for them to collect early in the year, especially for Conte. Just to see one finally go in is a huge relief.
You said it, the way that you scored doesn't matter. Just seeing it go in the net, getting your team on top like he did, does everything for morale and confidence. Conte, he's so skilled, and every time he touches the ball, you know he's gonna do something exciting with it. It's just really finding the best way to utilize him in this Bruins offense.
Michigan hasn't been able to produce many shots in the second half. Not fully clear. Dangerous at the 6, and Miller got a foot on it. Still difficult to clear, and finally blasted out by Conte.
That is so excellent from Hawkson. He gets the ball with his back to the attacking third for UCLA, and he just passes it right back to Conte instead of trying to make a move and lose possession. Let someone else deal with it, and Conte read his mind. Boots Tav far out of the danger zone. It's been one thing that's kind of underrated about UCLA's defense. When they get under pressure, the way they take the ball and then stay composed, they don't need to just boot it, play kickball every time. They can make a few touches, lose the defender, and then get the ball out of harm's way. It's one of the bright spots of this Bruins defense.
At least for Michigan, they're able to see an ember of life.
Yep. There's still plenty of chances in this game for both sides. It's good for the Bruins as well to see, hey, we got 10 minutes that we got to last through against a really, really good Michigan team. Even though we've been really dominant in my eyes in this second half, all it takes is one moment and we've got a tie game or worse.
And the referees huddled together, I think, to see maybe if there was any extracurriculars or if it touched UCLA.
Michigan coaching staff not happy on the sidelines.
Again, they've convened near the sideline. See the explanation trying to be given to Shaka Daly, perhaps about a non-whistle being blown as well for some of the physicality, and I would imagine so considering João Ramos is involved. He's been upset with the officiating a little bit. Feels like a lot of leeway has been given. And Ramos is going to be replaced. Kamal Brame, the exceptional freshman, coming in to provide a boost along with Jonathan Nabaka. We saw Nabaka against Penn State. Only 100 total minutes played, being inserted in a big spot with 10 minutes to play.
Looks like Tarun Karamanchi trying to bark some orders on behalf of Coach Jordan and the UCLA coaching staff, just trying to make sure everyone is in their positions. This UCLA team can be so fluid at times, and where they line up, it's important to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Levin does a nice job to dribble through traffic, lays it down the near touchline. Soto, a little bit heavy, stays in, a dummy, it's Buckner! A brace for Jason Buckner in the 80th minute. Level at 3.
Oh, that man is cold. Buckner ran right past the UCLA band and said, we ain't done here yet. We came here for points. We ain't leaving with nothing. Buckner just with a thunderbolt. Few bodies on the ground. Somehow looks like UCLA defenders got tangled up on the play before, and you cannot leave that man wide open in the box. He buried that in the lower left corner. Perfect strike from Buckner.
And there's Soto again, 6th assist of the season. Buckner on a silver platter for him. Nothing Joseph could do. And just when you thought Michigan was down for the count, they got back up off the mat. And we are tied with 10 minutes to play. What an answer. Everything was going UCLA's way.
I don't know if I've ever seen that going and celebrating in front of the opposing band. That's cold.
Down a man, Legaspi swings it in. Goldson with the catch. And now it really highlights that flashpoint, which is that stop by Goldson, that diving save, which could have been.
Look at that. That's crazy.
Well, he's telling him that as that shot is deflected, Conte, and another stop by Goldson. I think Buckner was telling the UCLA band about his blurred vision clothing line.
He was certainly a blurred vision for that UCLA defense. They totally lost him on that play.
Providing the barcode to purchase some inventory. Conte. They've started to unleash him, though. He's playing a little bit freer, which is good to see.
Yeah, there was no better option than for him to just unravel a shot that time. Don't mind a shot on target, but if you're the UCLA offense, you know there's better opportunities to be had. And really, you saw the defense kind of collapse on Conte there in the middle. When that happens, you gotta change your route, go a different way, go out wide, and try and find your players that have been burned down the wing with success today.
Legaspi too heavy on the touch. That's stolen back by Brame. Freshman's been relatively quiet. Excellent overlapping run. Soto with the left foot swings it through. It takes a bounce. It's Hop. Carmanchi doesn't fully clear it, and Buckner off the post. Stays with Michigan on the foot of Martin. And a collective gasp from the UCLA faithful, nearly a grievous mistake. The emotions vacillating in this game, not just from the players, but from the fans.
Packed house here at the Wally. The fans, they don't know what to think right now, and the Bruins just feels like that first touch that had been so on point through the first portion of this second half. It's just, they're thinking a little too hard about it at this point, taking an extra touch, trying to force a ball that's not quite there. They need to calm down, gather themselves, and get that offense flowing like it was.
Ochoa, Hawkson, Radoviz on the move. Caceres, Ochoa, Hawkson is down, but UCLA just having to play with him on the ground for the moment. He's trying to figure out where to position himself as it's poked free. A little bit more physicality, volleying possession, and a strong tackle from Sendon. And a more hurried pace right now. Both sides almost playing as if they're the ones trailing.
It makes for a great game that we're getting to witness here. Right now, UCLA just feels like they're bunched up on that last play. We saw Caceres and Carmanchi standing right next to each other, and the ball is going up in the air for we don't know who to win. Just got to talk about it and get more spaced out. You can't be so close to your teammate.
We've seen Jose Conte start to remove the handcuffs off him and get a little bit more aggressive. Andre Ochoa, they're going to need him as well to start to fire some bullets here. Here's Conte again. Buckner trying to keep pace with him. Back out. Cavallo one-timed off the head. Carmanchi, Ochoa, and a slow roller. And you have to wonder at this point the mindset of both coaches. Do you want to play and strive for the win or almost settle for the tie point?
It certainly feels like the Bruins are going for that win. Last time we saw Ochoa on that left wing, and Buckner was kind of letting him come down. He was waiting for the double team. We've seen the Wolverines kind of bring two defenders onto that wing player, whether it's Ochoa that time or Nixon on the right side. But they're really starting to pick up on what the Bruins want to do on offense, and the band this time getting to cheer on the UCLA players right in front of them.
And again, there is no overtime in the regular season. So there's only 4.5 minutes of time in regulation. It's hard to believe that these two teams have never faced one another. It feels like they're building a new rivalry. When I was asking both coaches, what's the significance of this first encounter, both were almost surprised in disbelief that they had never faced one another. In fact, Coach Shaka Daly had to be informed by a sports information director at the team hotel last night that they had yet to play one another. Coach Jordan was just completely befuddled by it. And again, the way that they are competing makes it seem like they've been bitter rivals the entire time.
If this is what we're signing up for.
And Conte, a little bit gratuitous there, and understandably, Nolan Miller and Will Baker upset. And Conte given an extra piece of yellow. Wasn't necessarily a necessary shot to take. That offsides flag had been raised well before.
If I'm the coach, I don't mind Conte firing that. You play and you keep on playing, and if they call it back, some nonsense happens, you want to at least give it a shot to put it in the back of the net. And you just feel, like you said, Conte just on the verge of really breaking through. We've seen him score. We've seen him play some great passes this season, but he's such a great player, so gifted, and when he puts it all together, the Big Ten is in trouble. Great step.
Do we have any more magic left in store for the final 180 seconds? These two teams have been a blur. They've each scored in seconds.
If this is what we can expect from UCLA versus Michigan soccer in the future, sign me up for all of those games. It's been so much fun to watch. Both of these teams really fighting against each other. Both of them just really showing that they are some of the best players, some of the best talent in the nation when it comes to men's soccer.
Herrera, excellent control. Flared out wide. Blevins on the run. Back to Herrera. Senden trying to keep him in front of him. And a battle along the near touch line. Last touched by Michigan.
Feels like there's still time for one more chance in this game. I don't know who it belongs to, but with time ticking quick.
Patrick O'Toole, by the way, come in for Michigan, hoping for a late surge with 2 minutes to play. Bruins faithful trying to get a little bit more involved and help this team rally to a victory. Michigan has battled back to tie it late in the second half. Saris Radoviz hammered, and a free kick to UCLA. He is slow to get up, and again, with his fist punching the ground, the clock will stop at the 88-23 mark.
Would have liked to see a yellow card there for the ref against Michigan, just because they're kind of impeding the play. And when we saw UCLA do that on the other side, it was a yellow card for Conte. Hoping the best for Radovic. He's found himself on the ground a few times this game just for working hard in the middle of the pitch. Every time him and Nixon step on the pitch, the freshmen, they look so convincing, and it's really exciting to see how their careers will progress. It's hard to believe that this is their first year for the both of them, and the sky's the limit for those two freshmen.
Alan Legaspi. And UCLA has always been such a patient team. Caramanchi, Ochoa's unmarked. It's taking a bend and past the end line.
A little desperate from the UCLA offense there, trying to whip it in from too far out. When you don't have enough bodies committed forward, it's not going to work.
Does Michigan have one more run in them? It looks like they are content holding for the final possession and shot. Just one goal in this second half. The second of the day for Jason Buckner. 45 ticks. Radoviz with the touch. Looking to build something up on this right side. Caceres have to start taking some chances and send in a groan from the crowd. Conte centered it in, it's bobbled, and Miller clears it, and that will do it. An incredible opening debut for these two blue blood programs. 6 combined goals, and at the end of 90 minutes, an exasperated both sides, level at 3.